Good morning, Bezrat Hashem. We are back in the Midrash with Yeshivat Shalom Bait. You want Shalom Bait? Send your man to school to learn in the yeshiva every morning in Bet Midrash. Halacha, we continue in Shulchan Aruch, Siman Yud Kaf Halacha Sif Tet, Halacha Tet. הכנפיים צריך שיהיו מרובעות ולא יהיו עגולות. Very important to put on the tzitzit, that the requirement of four corners, it has to be made, it's going to be squared off and not rounded off. The corners are to be squared off and not rounded off in order to put on them tzitzit. Says Amaran in Sif Yud. Sif 10, הלכה 10, מצנפת פטורה, אפילו של ארצות המערב ששני ראשי המושלכים, על כתפיהם וגופם, ואף על פי שמתכסה בראשו ורובו, פטור. מה זה מצנפת? A scarf. A scarf, even though it could cover a person, a full body, even though, but it's designed as not as a garment, it's just a scarf. Even though it covers the head, and it would cover the body, still will be patur from tzitzit. כיוון שעיקרה לכסות הראש. The real purpose of the scarf is to cover your head. It's not to cover your body. The Torah told you it has to be your garment, and it's not talking about covering your head. Yeah? You want to say something?
No.
No? Okay. סודר שנותנים על הצוואר במלכות שנקרא בערבי. So certain things. Okay, so there is two types of, scarves, and the one that covers the head and the neck, and then there's one that just covers the neck. פטורים, so same thing, they also פטורים. מלבושים שממצרים, י"ב. מלבושים שמצרים נקראים, so this we need a lot of examples, a certain clothing in Egypt, גוחש and mitkin, certain stuff, אף על פי שיש להם דל כנפיים, פטורים. Again, so if, I guess the general rule the rabbi wants to say here, if it's a cloth that you wear as a clothing for your body, that would require a tzitzit, four corners would require tzitzit if it has. But anything else that doesn't cover your body, it's not meant to cover literally. The purpose of this garment is not to cover your body; it's to cover a certain part. That would not require a tzitzit. Haga v'hu adin malbushim shel gelilut bnei Ashkenaz וספרד. הואיל ואין כנפיהם עשויים שיהיו שניים לפניהם ושניים לאחריהם, מכוונים זו כנגד זו פטורים. So any garment that does not have, Rabbi Haggah, so we have something very important point. Even in Ashkenaz and in Hasidic places, he points out that they have such a garment that that it has to be, that it is worn where you have two corners in front of you and two corners in the back of you, as a garment that I guess in that instance it will require a tzitzit. So maybe that's the patur of what's his name, of the jackets. Let's say a suit. You see, there's a corner here, right? This suit, you know how many corners it has? Look at this. Look, it has a corner here and it has a corner here, and then it has a corner in the bottom. So maybe it needs a tzitzit. No, it would not require tzitzit, specifically primarily because this is not worn as a four-corner garment. However, there's a big machloket about the suits. The suits itself. So a lot of say that because it's not real square corners, so it's rounded off, and therefore the suits will not require a tzitzit. But it is a question still. So it looks like our Rama is madgish over here. Rama says, pointing out, stressing on the point that what's his name? That it has to be that something that when you cover your body, you're going to have two corners on one side, the front of you, two corners the back of you, and that would be that they are opposite each other. That will require a tzitzit. But since our jackets are worn in a certain way, that the corners are on top, they're not corners to be to the bottom. See, these corners are not to go down. These corners will never be opposite the other corners in the back. Let's say, like we discussed, my jacket. Most suits have like the cuts in the back. Yeah. Let's say if you don't take the close corners, you'll take the farther corners, right? So you have a far corner on the right side, you have a corner on the left side. So that maybe that will require tzitzit. So we say no, the suit in the bottom, the front corners doesn't have square corners, so it's rounded off. So even if let's say you take a furthest from each other, you would not still not going to need tzitzit. But we have over here it's real squared off, right? The corners over here are squared off. So why don't I put tzitzit over here, tzitzit here, and tzitzit in the back and the back? I have corners. So the rabbi says over here, no, this garment will not require tzitzit because they're not in the bottom of the corners. The corners apparently have to be matching each other. So the back and the front, the corners are opposite each other, and that's going to make it two corners in the front, two corners in the back. That will require tzitzit. But otherwise it doesn't. That's maybe one of the reasons why our suits don't have corners. Let's say your shirts, same thing. You have a shirt right now. You're having a white shirt, right? A dress shirt. So there's also on top you have two corners, right? And then you have in the bottom two corners. So why don't you put on tzitzit on it? It's a four-corner garment. It will require a tzitzit. The rabbi says no. The reason why it doesn't require a garment because it's not worn that way, and where you would have two in the front, two in the back. That's not the way it's worn, and therefore it will not require a tzitzit. Good morning, Rabbi File. You came just on time. We're going to take a few more minutes, and then we're going to take off the topic of Zat Hashem, just to hit, to save Am Yisrael, hopefully. Hopefully we'll save ourselves and Am Yisrael. All right, Halacha Siman Yud Aleph. Anybody inside? Halacha Siman Yud Aleph. For those people in the video world, Zat Hashem, after this shiur, there will be another shiur uploaded. It will be called Safety of Am Yisrael, why we don't have Gdolei Ador in our generation, and how dangerous it is for us right now. Yud Aleph, but that's going to be the topic. Now, let's just continue in Halacha. Yud Aleph, Siman Yud Aleph, 11th Siman. Dinei Chutei HaTzitzit. We have the rules of the requirement of the tzitzit. What is real tzitzit? The corners, as they say in the fringes, right?
Tassels.
Whatever they call that, fringes. And we're going to discuss on the halakha over here. It's going to be mentioning 15 halachot in regards to the tzitzit itself. So Aleph, ahotin tzarich shehiyu tvuin lishman. The way that you twine the tzitzit, the strings, when you twine them, the twining itself, right? The whole work when they take the wool of the sheep and then they converted it into, right? They converted it to strings. So now the question is, from what point that it has to be designed that you're trying to make it for tzitzit? So is it when you start taking the wool, really the wool, and start working on the wool, and you have to have kavanah that you're doing it for tzitzit, or even after the material is already rolled up into a thread, and then when you start twining it together, that's to preparing it for tzitzit, you have to say the kavanah. So he says, צריך שיהיו תבואים לשמן. ויש מחמרים אפילו לנצפן לשמן. So here, so the rabbi says, when you make the strings, when you twine, you see, every string is rolled up, right? You see that strings are, it's more than one string. Each string has a lot connected to it. So again, so the question is, when you start twining it, to prepare that rope for the tzitzit, that has to be ready lishma. That's what Maral says. Haggah says even more than that. Haggah says no, even when you take the wool itself from the sheep and you start working the wool, preparing it's going to be for that also be lishma. That also has to be done lishma. Lishma means for the purpose of mitzvah. However, Ramah says yes, even though some say to make it all the way from the shearing, after the shearing, right away, that you start working the wool itself, has to be lishma. That is it's a commendable thing, but if you don't have, what are you going to do? It's already done. You buy from Goyim, you buy strings, right? Mm-hmm. So those strings, that whatever the threads, whatever it is, those are already combined. It's also going to be acceptable. So continue. Shiyomar b'tchilat. Also, how do you make sure it's for tzitzit? Shiyomar b'tchilat. You say when you begin, hativui shuhu oseh ken l'shem tzitzit. And you have to say it with firush. You have to say it with your mouth when you start twining it. When you start combining all the strings and you're rolling it into a string that will eventually become a tzitzit string, those round thing. that has all the threads in it, you have to say, I'm doing this for the mitzvah of tzitzit. Shemar leisha tvili tzitzit litalit. And if or you say to a woman, because women are Baruch Hashem busy with preparing it with the fabric, which is a common thing. So he says, even if you say you have a woman, Amaran says, you're allowed to tell the woman, prepare this fabric that you're working on, make sure it's done for tzitzit, letalit, for the purpose of talit. V'im lo hayu tevu'in lishman pesulin. So the rabbi says, however, if the strings were not prepared for the purpose of wearing it for tzitzit, that would make it not kosher. You're not allowed to use it. Bet Tvan nochri. However, let's say you bought from a goy who already prepared such strings for whatever reason. The goy did it. Israel omed al gabo. If the goy is doing it while a Jew is watching him, al gabo ve'omer sheyaseh lishman, and he has to tell the goy, by the way, Mister, you're doing this for the Jewish mitzvah of tzitzit. Pasul. Rambam says it's pasul. It's not kosher. Leharosh kasher. However, the Rosh says it is kasher. The Haga'etz v'nohagim she'isaya Israel me'ad. However, the Ramah says, wait a minute, the fabrics are all by the goyim, and you have everything done by the goyim, and so what do you do? However, in this instance, Ramah says, I will have a Jew do some kind of work to help a little bit. Siman if Tet over there, and over there it explains, the Ramah explains that really if a Jew does something, that will make it kosher already in itself. שזירה ושיהיו שזורים לשמן. I don't know what shezirin means. I guess, let's see, what is that? Shezira. Yudalet, let's see, Yudalet, Shezira. שזירה היינו שיחפלם אחר התביעה לשניים ושזרם עם כפל כל חוט לשמונה ושזרם גם כן. Okay, I guess the shazira means when they are, I guess, folding it and preparing it to become a string, that also needs to be done lishma. That also, so I guess, with the finalizing of the string has to be done lishma also. Okay, Halacha Gimel, B'ezrat Hashem, will continue tomorrow.